Broadcasting live from California, get ready for an hour of pure, unapologetic conservative talk radio. Liberals beware, because this is the Wise Conservative Show.
Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. Now, we're seeing, and this is actually just coming out from today, just not even that long ago today, a special prosecutor has actually been appointed in the Russia probe that has been going on since the election all the way in November. So we see that just today, the Justice Department announced that it has appointed former FBI Director Robert Mueller as the special counsel for this investigation. Now, of course, this appointment definitely came amid a growing Democratic outcry for a special prosecutor, saying that Donald Trump, fired Comey just to, save himself. There's nothing to back up those claims. So that's what all of the Democrats have actually been saying since the firing of previous director Comey. Quote, "In my capacity as acting attorney general, I determined that it is in the public interest for me to exercise my authority and appoint a special counsel to assume responsibility for this matter." Now, that was Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, who is currently the Deputy Attorney and the Acting Attorney General because of the firing of Director Comey. Quote, "My decision is not a finding that crimes have been committed or that any prosecution is warranted." And we know that there's going to be people who claim that because a special prosecutor was in fact put into place, that they're already saying that Donald Trump is guilty. We already know that there's going to be people on the left trying to claim this. But that's not at all what is happening here, and that's why Rosenstein actually added that bit at the end there. Now, we see that this appointment gives Mueller, who did actually lead the FBI through the 9/11 attacks, and who has served under multiple parties here, both Republicans and Democrats, he has sweeping powers now to investigate whether Trump and his campaign associates did collude with Russia or not in the campaign for president. He also has the authority with this to prosecute any crimes uncovered during this probe. Mueller said in a statement, "I accept this responsibility and will discharge it to the best of my ability." Now, this is definitely something that covers any matters that are going to arise in terms of Russia and America. We've seen that this has become a very broad investigation, from Flynn to Trump to basically anything that or anyone that has mentioned Russia in their life. This has become a very broad investigation and probe because Democrats have wanted it to basically use it to try to take out this current administration. Senior DOJ officials have said that the White House was informed of this decision for the special counsel after the order had been signed through the White House counsel's office about an hour before the decision went public. They said, "As I have stated many times, a thorough investigation will confirm what we already know. There was no collusion between my campaign and any foreign entity." This was President Trump. "I look forward to this matter concluding quickly. In the meantime, I will never stop fighting for the people and the issues that matter most to the future of our country." Now, we see that Donald Trump definitely has time after time after time said that he hasn't colluded with the Russians, and I believe him, and the majority of Americans believe him. But Democrats are still trying to claim that he colluded with Russia, still trying to claim that he worked with them, and he is still working with them to this day. So this is kind of a turn for the better, I would say. Because putting this special prosecutor into place basically shuts up the Democrats over the fact that Donald Trump fired Director Comey. Because they argued, and their only argument was that now he has to assign a special prosecutor. Well, now that's assigned. Now there is a special prosecutor. Someone who has actually been very bipartisan in the past. So he's a great choice for this, in my opinion. And assigning the special prosecutor does shut up the Democrats over this, or hopefully it will. And the matters will conclude rather quickly because there is no evidence of the Trump administration working with Russia. There's no evidence whatsoever. There's been multiple investigations into this already. None of them have found anything yet they've been working since November last year. So there's no evidence of any collusion, and so this matter will be wrapped up rather quickly, and it'll finally get rid of all of these horrible arguments that Democrats have been using, trying to claim that everything is the Russians' fault. Now, and we do see that this appointment has support from both sides of the aisle, with Representative Jason Chaffetz, who is a Republican from Utah. He said, Mueller is a great selection, impeccable credentials, and he should be widely accepted. Senator Jeff Merkley, a Democrat from Oregon, also praised this decision, saying, "This is a victory for all Americans who believe in the integrity of the rule of law. This investigation must be given the full resources and independence it needs to succeed. We must follow the facts wherever they lead and demand complete accountability for any wrongdoing that is found." Now, we already know that there won't be any wrongdoing that is found into this, but the Democrats can keep dreaming on this. Now, we do see, as a little background for Mueller here, we see that he is the former FBI director appointed by George W. Bush, and he did a 2-year extension of that service under Obama. And so we see that he served for a lot of years under both Obama and under George W. Bush. He became the director shortly after 9/11, or shortly before 9/11, and was at the heart of turning the FBI into a counterterrorism and counterintelligence operation in that time period. Now, his then deputy was actually James Comey, and they threatened to quit over the Bush administration surveillance. So they don't like the Patriot Act, basically. Mueller doesn't like the Patriot Act, which, in my opinion, is a good thing that he doesn't like it. Now, Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Richard Burr says that this appointment is a good decision that assures the American people that there's no undue influence in the probe of Russian meddling in last year's election. Now, Burr, who heads the Senate investigation into this Russian activity and possible connections to associates of President Donald Trump, he says that his committee will continue to proceed forward and that the panel's job hasn't changed. Now, as special counsel, Mueller will have all the same powers as a U.S. attorney, although he will still ultimately report to Rosenstein, who is the current acting attorney general. Still, he is not subject to the day-to-day supervision of the Justice Department. He can keep the same investigators in place or request new or additional staff, including from outside the department, in addition to requesting a budget that includes personnel. So he does have a lot of control here, and this is why some Republicans are actually expressing concern for this. We see that Representative Peter King, who is from New York, said, "I'm worried with all special counsels because there's no control over them, and they can abuse their power." Now, in the 1990s, Democrats insisted that independent counsel Kenneth Starr, who investigated Bill Clinton, overstepped his authority. So in the 90s, that's what Democrats were saying, that these special prosecutors overstepped their bounds, that they took their power and abused it, essentially. Now, Rosenstein appointed Mueller under a statute that has been used only once, and this statute was used in 1999 when John C. Danforth was appointed to investigate allegations of government wrongdoing in the siege at the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas. Now, Danforth's investigation cost millions, included hundreds of interviews, and restaging the final hours of that 51-day standoff there in Texas. And he ultimately produced a 150-page report clearing then Attorney General and other top government officials of any responsibility. So that was the only other time that this same statute was used to actually appoint a special prosecutor, although special prosecutors have definitely been appointed many times in the past. This is not a new occurrence. Ultimately, I do believe that this is a good thing. I do believe that having the special prosecutor will finally end this investigation, which won't come out with any evidence of anything. And it will finally take away that other excuse the Democrats have been using constantly. Because we all know the Democrats have been using Russia as their number one excuse for every single issue since the election. Oh, Hillary Clinton lost. Blame it on Russia. Oh, Donald Trump enacted this. He must be working for Russia. That's how they've been acting since the election. And this will probably put an end to that once this matter is actually resolved. And this is even something that they wanted in the first place. So hopefully this does stop them from saying all of these evidenceless allegations that they continue to throw out there. And we also see that in the Trump-Lavrov meeting, so Lavrov is a diplomat from Russia, people are saying that Trump is now, that he handed over or talked and said that a lot of different information that was highly classified. Now, this comes out of a New York Times report that basically said this, it claimed this, but it didn't show the evidence for it. It said that that's what Director Comey wrote in a memo. But those memos haven't actually been produced and no one's seen them. So there's no proof of this whatsoever. And now we're seeing that Vladimir Putin is actually offering, he just said this today, to help settle the controversy over these claims. He railed today against dangerous U.S. politicians whipping up anti-Russian sentiment. The Russian president dismissed the claim that Trump disclosed such information to Kremlin officials, and he offered to hand over records of an Oval Office meeting to Congress. Now, speaking during a joint news conference with the Italian Prime Minister, Putin said those attacking Trump for allegedly being too cozy with Russian politicians were guilty of, quote, political schizophrenia. Putin said if the White House agreed, that he would share his records of the meeting with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and a Russian ambassador as well, in which it was reported that Trump blurted out that sensitive information given to the White House by Israeli intelligence. Now, making light of the situation, Putin said that he would have to reprimand Lavrov since the alleged intelligence was never passed along to him. Quote, he hasn't shared those secrets with us. Now, of course, Putin said he wasn't yet ready to judge Trump's presidency and would only do so when, quote, he's allowed to work at full capacity. And this was referencing the tidal wave of legislative resistance that Donald Trump is currently facing because of the petty Democrats within Congress. Now, the White House has adamantly defended Trump, his conversations in this meeting, saying that what he discussed was wholly appropriate. Quote, it was nothing that you would not know from an open source reporting. And now that was from the National Security Advisor yesterday. And Trump, in a pair of Tuesday morning tweets, also defended this information he chose to share in the meeting, saying, quote, as president, I wanted to share with Russia at an openly scheduled White House meeting, which I have the absolute right to do, facts pertaining to terrorism and airline flight safety, humanitarian reasons, plus I want Russia to greatly step up their fight against ISIS and terrorism. Now, reports claimed that Trump divulged an element of the intelligence related to an ISIS plot against air travel that could have allowed Russia to divine the sources and methods used to gather that information. Now, making this sharing of this intelligence with Russia particularly tricky is the Kremlin's close relationship to Syria and Iran, who are adversaries of Israel. So, of course, people are now saying that Donald Trump basically gave away national secrets and put our ally Israel in danger. But the only people claiming this are those on the left and those in the media. We're seeing that even Israel themselves are defending Donald Trump on this issue, with Benjamin Netanyahu saying that he stands full-heartedly with Donald Trump and believes that he did not put Israel in danger. We see that the Democrats and the leftist media once again are making allegations that have no basis. Once again, they are saying these claims, but they have no evidence for it. There is not one bit of evidence that Donald Trump divulged secret intelligence information. Furthermore, it's rather hypocritical and ironic that they are making such a big deal about giving away secrets like this when they supported a woman who we know gave away national security information through her private email server. We already know for a fact that she did that. It was proven through the FBI that she did, in fact, put that information at risk and that some of it was stolen. Some of it was hacked. Yet they don't argue that she needs to be punished for this. They don't say that she needs to actually see the law for this. They actually defend her on the matter. But she's been proven to actually have done that. Even James Comey said that she did this, she did this, she did this, that she allowed hackers to come in and steal this information. But then, because she didn't have intent, she wasn't put under she wasn't said that she was going to be criminally charged. But now they're saying that because Donald Trump allegedly, not even proven, did this, that he should be impeached. And that is a huge claim and a huge punishment for such an issue that has no basis. This was a New York Times report that every other news agency is going off of. One single report. And they're not even saying how they got the information in that report. They're not saying anything. And that's how the media is working nowadays, and that's sad, folks. Because we see that the media works with these unnamed sources, and yet they claim that it's real, that it's true evidence. But we don't get to know where they get all this information from. We don't get to know where they're getting all this information that always turns out to be false from. There might not even be a source, but they're just making up stuff to make Donald Trump look bad. They have had it out for Donald Trump from the second he joined the race for president. And it's only gotten worse every day into his presidency. They're making up these claims about this intelligence that he allegedly gave away, and there's no proof of it. Everyone involved in the actual discussion here in the Oval Office, and everyone involved in the intelligence information along this are saying that nothing was given away. Israel, the White House, Russia, everyone involved in this are saying that there was no transfer of secret intelligence. But you can't listen to those people. You can't listen to the people who are actually there, who are witnesses to what these media sources are trying to claim happened. And it's just sad that they're not actually listening to the truth here and that they're not actually getting any facts, but instead making wild claims and not backing up with any evidence. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show. Hi, everybody. Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And every time that these universities take up this new social change that they're trying to promote, every time they take that up, they are taking away from that education instead. Because now they're focusing on these social changes instead of learning like they should be.
Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely Program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
Have you ever wanted to stand up to your liberal professor? Have you ever wanted to help expand the conservative movement? Well, it sounds like you would be a perfect fit for Youth Revolt. Youth Revolt is a team of dedicated young conservatives fighting liberal indoctrination within our school system. If you're interested in being a part of this team by being a columnist or even hosting your own radio show, go ahead and click the Join Now tab at the top of youthrevolt.org. You'll be asked to answer a few questions, and a Youth Revolt team member will respond to you quickly. Be a part of something bigger than you. Be a part of Youth Revolt. Speak without fear.
My friends, I'm going to be blunt with you. There are a lot of frauds out there today. People who claim to be conservatives and yet, in one way or another, believe that more government is the solution to our problems. That's not what conservatism is about, and even more than that, that's not what our Constitution is about. I'm Jason Veely, a recent college grad who has the guts to say what needs to be said without pulling any punches. On my radio show, you can expect 100% pure conservatism every single weeknight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Join me as we discuss history, liberty, and conservative philosophy in a style that is just as entertaining as it is educational. Who says we can't have fun tearing down the liberal establishment? Tune in to the Jason Veely program live every weeknight at 7 o'clock on youthrevolt.org. I'll see you out on the battlefield.
Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate!
Love trumping hate involves a lot more assault and arson than I expected. The Wise Conservative Show, Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. I'm your host, Connor Wise. So now we're seeing that, we've heard him a lot, and he said some rather outrageous things in the past, and he actually didn't even go to Donald Trump's inauguration. We're seeing that Representative Elijah Cummings, he's from Maryland, is now saying the Republicans would have impeached Clinton if she did what has happened with Trump. Now, on a key House Oversight panel just today, he did claim this. He said that if they had done, quote, 1/millionth of what has happened with Trump, that Republicans would have impeached Hillary Clinton. Now, he is the ranking member of this House Oversight Committee, and he made the remarks during an appearance on the Joe Madison show on radio in wake of the latest accusation that Trump asked Director Comey to shutter part of the FBI's Russia probe. Quote, I have bird's eye view on all this stuff, and I look at how they treated Hillary Clinton. I mean, for 1/millionth of what has happened with Trump, they would have impeached her. I'm just telling you. They would have been going crazy. That's what makes this so egregious. Now, after the host Joe Madison said that Clinton would have already been impeached, Cummings replied with no doubt. Now, earlier in the day, Cummings also blasted House Speaker Paul Ryan in a news conference, saying he has, quote, shown he has zero appetite for any investigation of President Trump. Cummings reminded reporters that House Government Reform and Oversight Panel Chairman Jason Chavez held a hearing featuring Comey just 48 hours after the announcement that there was no evidence warranting charges against Clinton after investigation found that she had improperly handled that classified information. And now he's trying to link the fact that Republicans demanded Director Comey come in for a hearing just 48 hours after Hillary Clinton was, there was no charges recommended. And he's trying to say that there was no evidence of her mishandling this information. And this, once again, is where him and the majority of Democrats and people on the left are highly mistaken. There was a long list of evidence of mishandling by Hillary Clinton. James Comey went over a list for almost 10 minutes about all of the different infractions that Hillary Clinton had committed, but because she didn't mean to commit any of them, he didn't recommend charges. That's what happened there. He went on a long list of what Hillary Clinton did wrong, and there was evidence of all of it. But Democrats are ignoring that, and furthermore, they're trying to say that if she had done 1/millionth of what Trump has done. What exactly has Trump done, folks? What exactly has Trump done that deserves impeachment? What exactly has he done that's illegal? Let's look at all of the things that he's actually done in his presidency. He's been attacked countlessly by the media. Well, no, that doesn't deserve impeachment. He's worked together with party leaders to try to put together healthcare bills. Well, that doesn't deserve impeachment. He's issued executive orders on issues that are quite needed. Well, that doesn't deserve impeachment. Where exactly are they looking that has been proven that he needs to be impeached? Donald Trump hasn't actually committed any crimes here, and he actually hasn't even violated anything. There is no proof of any of these claims that the Democrats constantly say. They constantly say that, oh, he worked with Russia. There's proof of it. But when you ask them where the proof is, they can't give it, folks, because there is no proof. There's no proof of any of these crimes, so-called crimes, that he committed. Donald Trump hasn't done anything illegal and nothing impeachment worthy. But of course, Democrats always blow everything out of proportion. They blow a story that was made up by the leftist media into this giant story that they think is worthy of impeachment. Folks, they are taking an issue that isn't even anything, a non-issue, and they're blowing it up into this giant mountain of an issue with no evidence whatsoever for it. And that's what they continually do. And the fact that they are saying that Hillary Clinton would have been impeached for doing 1/1,000th, that's what he said, 1/1,000th of what Donald Trump has done is absurd. Hillary Clinton would have been impeached for the crimes that she already committed. That's why she would have been impeached. She would have been impeached for the countless number of scandals that she has been involved in. That's why she would have been impeached. Not because of something that Donald Trump has done, not because of anything like that, because Donald Trump hasn't done anything illegal. He hasn't done anything wrong. But because he has viewpoints that differ from Democrats, they think it's impeachment worthy. They fundamentally disagree with the man, and they think that that requires him to be impeached. But that's not how impeachment works, folks. And you can't impeach someone just because you disagree with them politically. That's not how it works. But that's how Democrats would like it to work. We all know that the left would love everything in the world if they could control it. If they can control everything in the world, then it would be a perfect world to them. Because they want unlimited power. They want to be able to say exactly what every single person in this nation does and tell them when and where they can do it. They want ultimate power. And that's just another outrage that they're showing through this claim. They're claiming that they want to be able to impeach over cases that aren't even real, over a simple fact that they disagree with Donald Trump ideologically. That's a power that they don't have, but that's a power that they want. And so we can see clearly through this and many other instances that Democrats would stop at nothing to gain complete and total power over this nation and over the people and our everyday lives, because they want an expansive government that controls everything. They want to be able to control the minds of everyone. Because if you disagree with them, you're suddenly an outcast to them. You're suddenly a bigot, a homophobe, you're sexist, whatever. They just, for some reason, can't stand the idea that people have differing opinions. And so now that the White House, the Senate, and the House are all controlled by people with opposite viewpoints, they're losing it. And they're just throwing out these wild claims with no evidence. That's why they're going so crazy, because they have no power. They have no control over what gets done. And that's also why they're trying to stall all of these hearings on the appointees from Donald Trump. And they're stalling at an unprecedented rate, folks. But furthermore, we're seeing that they actually are calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. We're seeing now that Democratic Representative Green, he called for Trump's impeachment on the House floor already. I have the audio of that, so take a listen.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice. I do not do this for political purposes, Mr. Speaker. I do this because I believe in the great ideals that this country stands for: liberty and justice for all. The notion that we should have government of the people, by the people, for the people. I do it because, Mr. Speaker, there is a belief in this country that no one is above the law, and that includes the President of the United States of America. Mr. Speaker, our democracy is at risk. Mr. Speaker, this offense has occurred before our very eyes. It is perspicuous It is easy to understand. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about a president who fired the FBI director who was investigating the president for his connections to Russian involvement in the president's election. Mr. Speaker, this is not about the president firing the FBI director because he was investigating someone else. It's because the FBI director was investigating the president himself. And after firing the director, he went on to let us know that he considered the investigation when he fired him. And then he tweeted language that would be intimidation or a warning, an admonition, very strong to say the very least. Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow this to go unchecked. The president is not above the law. It is time for the American people to weigh in.
So we see in that clip there was a lot that he basically talked in circles for that entire clip. But he said at a couple points that no one is above the law. And I find that rather ironic because he was a very stout defender and supporter of Hillary Clinton in this presidential election. He believed that she was above the law. He believed the Clinton Foundation was above the law. He believed that the crimes that they committed didn't have to be answered for. But now, because Donald Trump is a little different than him, he thinks differently, now we should be impeaching him. Furthermore, he said that our democracy is at risk because of this. Now, we talked about this last week as well. The Democrats claim that because Donald Trump fired Director Comey while Trump was under investigation, that our democracy is at risk, that Trump was saving himself, that he knew that he was colluding with Russia and Comey was figuring it out. That's what they're trying to say here. But if we actually look at the facts, he said that Donald Trump took into account and into consideration the investigation when firing Director Comey. And that's true. Donald Trump did take that into account. He admitted it. But the way he admitted it was a lot different than this man worded it here. Donald Trump took into account the fact that Director Comey told him 3 times that he wasn't under direct investigation. That's what he took into account. Director Comey told Donald Trump 3 times on separate accounts that Donald Trump wasn't under investigation. And because of that, Donald Trump felt it was okay to fire him. That's how he took it into consideration. That's how he actually looked at this. He made sure that he wasn't actually under investigation. And according to Director Comey, he wasn't. But the Democrats are trying to twist this. They're trying to say that he took the investigation into account, trying to make it sound like because he was under investigation, he fired Comey. But we all know that's just not the truth. The Democrats themselves were calling for Director Comey since November, since the couple days before the election. They were calling for the firing of him before Republicans. But now that they actually get their way, they just can't have it because it happened under Donald Trump. They are throwing these baby fits, and through it, now we're seeing them calling for impeachment. He first actually called for this impeachment on Monday, and he joined liberal lawmakers such as Maxine Waters in pursuing this step that even a lot of Democrats now are suggesting is premature. And so he did come back again after that New York Times report. You know, he's trying to say like that's fact, like their unknown source of what Director Comey said and what Donald Trump said and everything is true. And so he's saying that this is an obstruction of justice, that this has to be done to save our democracy. Well, you guys heard him. He was trying to pull a very emotional argument there. And that's really all the left has in anything. While us conservatives, we use facts and logic for all of our policies, all of our arguments, the left continually just uses emotions because they don't have any statistic basis for any of their claims. They don't have any statistic basis for anything or even factual basis for anything that they are arguing for. So instead they try to pull at your heartstrings, try to take a moral stance here. But we all know that in the end, they are the ones that aren't taking the moral high ground. They are the ones that are actually trying to ruin the democracy by gaining ultimate power. Now, Green did go on to explain that implementing the impeachment process does not necessarily mean that the president would be found guilty, which is obvious. In any impeachment proceeding, the Senate would effectively hold a trial to determine the guilt, and that would be ran by the Chief Justice on the Supreme Court. But Democrats and even most Republicans are strongly warning against such impeachment talk, and the White House definitely has strongly denied the claims that the Times report is true, and so obviously there shouldn't be any impeachment orders here. Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, a Republican from Pennsylvania, told lawmakers after Green's remarks that, quote, members are reminded to refrain in engaging in personalities towards the president, such as accusations that he committed an impeachable offense. Ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, Representative Adam Schiff, a Democrat from California, said on Wednesday, so today, that no one should rush to embrace the most extraordinary remedy for removing a president. Democratic Senators John Tester of Montana and Claire McCaskill of Missouri reiterated the importance of getting the facts first. So this is even too radical for a lot of Democrats. And that's saying a lot. When you have the majority of Democrats saying that this is a step too far, then you know that you're just so radical and so unfactually arguing that there's no saving you. Maxine Waters and Green are calling for something that won't happen, that has no basis to happen. And most Democrats are actually realizing this, and all Republicans realize this. We clearly see that there is no point in actually doing this. We see that Tester, the senator from Montana, said, quote, you got to get the facts, and that's why the special prosecutors are very important. The Intelligence Committee needs to do their job. That's why the FBI needs to do their job. Once you get to the facts, then you can make a good decision. If you don't have facts, you don't make good decisions. And McCaskill, the Missouri senator, said, I don't think it's time to talk about anything like that until we see the evidence. Now, other Democratic lawmakers who have been discussing impeachment are Representatives John Yarmouth, a Democrat from Kentucky, Mark Pocan, a Democrat from Wisconsin, Jared Huffman, a Democrat from California, and Representative Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat from Hawaii. And they warned constituents at a town hall that if Trump were successfully impeached, the problems don't go away, because then you have a Vice President Pence who becomes President Pence. Now, former Democratic Ohio Representative Dennis Kucinich told Fox News on Tuesday that there was a danger in engaging in compulsive opposition. Now, what we're seeing here is that a lot of people are calling for this. These 4 or 5 people are calling for this impeachment just because they disagree with Donald Trump. They're trying to say that it's because of what's going on with the FBI. They're trying to claim that, and I get that. They're trying to claim something. That's just not true, though. They're trying to say that Donald Trump is committing the highest offense possible, that he should be physically removed from office. And they have no evidence, no claims, and I'm happy to see that a lot of Democrats even are saying that this is too far. And I'm surprised that there's even Democrats saying that this is too far, but it's a happy sight to see. We saw that Kucinich said yesterday before the New York Times report on that meeting, quote, it is destructive to America to proceed with an impeachment at this stage of the presidency. This is not the first thing you reach for, because when the first big move a party makes is towards impeachment, it's very difficult for the American people to conclude that it is anything but a partisan issue. And we can clearly see that that's all this is currently. This is a partisan issue. And right now, Democrats are just blowing everything out of proportion. Democrats are trying to make this a partisan issue. Impeachment of a president is something that you shouldn't take lightly. And it's something that hasn't been actually done, hasn't been passed since a long time now. So it's really just sad that Democrats are trying to suggest that Donald Trump has committed an offense that deserves impeachment. And so we're going to have to see how this plays out. And I'm glad that we have that special prosecutor now, because it's all kind of, it's a large investigation. I've been talking about it for a lot of different shows. This Russian investigation definitely has a lot of ground and a lot of, a wide circle of things to actually look into. But now that we have that special prosecutor, I feel like it will conclude rather quickly. And anyone who's claiming for an impeachment trial after that are going to be left alone because simply there won't be any evidence. There won't be any evidence coming out of this probe that Donald Trump did collude with the Russians, and I can guarantee that. Because Donald Trump did not, and there is no proof of it, and if there was, we would have found it by now. So just simply to say it, these representatives, they're just crazy. They're playing partisan games in an issue that should not be partisan. And that's what they've been doing since Donald Trump's election. That's what they've been doing since Donald Trump even won the election back in November. So it's definitely a sad game that they're playing, but it's one that they continue to tango with, and it's one that they won't let go. I'm going to take one last quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. This is the Wise Conservative Show. Hi, everybody. Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. How haven't all of these protesters realized that they are the exact reason why Donald Trump was elected in the first place? How haven't they realized that them being crybabies about every single thing in life is exactly why the American people rose up and voted for Donald Trump? They are the whole reason that they have all this misery currently.
If you got a business, that you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen.
Get out of here, you idiot. Sorry about that, folks. Jason Veely here, host of the Jason Veely program. I'm a 22-year-old conservative who is fired up and ticked off at the direction the progressive left have taken this country. Join me every weeknight at 7 o'clock as we promote liberty, advance conservative principle, and work to restore the Constitution of the United States. I can get loud and I can get passionate. How can we afford not to when so much is on the line? Tune in to the Jason Veely program, live every weeknight at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on youthrevolt.org. I'll see you out on the battlefield.
Hi, everybody. Connor Wise here with an exclusive clip from the Wise Conservative Show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. And every time that these universities take up this new social change that they're trying to promote, every time they take that up, they are taking away from that education instead. Because now they're focusing on these social changes instead of learning like they should be.
Calling all young conservatives. Have you ever wanted to write for an online publication? What about host your own conservative radio program? Now you can, thanks to youthrevolt.org. Youth Revolt is a conservative media network for young people, the goal of which is to educate our fellow Americans, and also to expose the left-wing indoctrination that goes on in classrooms across the country. Become part of a team that is dedicated to taking the country back, one radio program or opinion column at a time. If you're interested, go to youthrevolt.org and click on Join Us on the top of the page. Fill out our brief questionnaire, and one of our representatives will be in touch with you in no time at all. The time to reclaim our future is now. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, and join the movement today. Youth Revolt. Speak without fear. Ever wanted to learn the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in less than 10 minutes? Are you looking for the truth about the so-called gender wage gap? Well, my friends, I'll let you in on a little secret. Prager University is a source that I use all the time when preparing for my show, the Jason Veely program. Dennis Prager and his team have put together a remarkable organization that seeks to explain and spread Americanism through the power of the internet. Their short yet extremely informative videos reach more than 100 million people per year, and they want to reach you as well. Go on YouTube and type in Prager University, or go to prageru.com for all of their latest content. That's Prager, the letter U.com. prageru.com.
Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate!
Love trumping hate involves a lot more assault and arson than I expected. The Wise Conservative Show. Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on Youth Revolt. Welcome back to the Wise Conservative Show. Once again, I'm your host, Connor Wise. Now, we've seen all of these different claims surrounding Donald Trump, and this Russian investigation definitely is big news, and that's why I've spent this entire show talking about it, because there's been a lot of different substance into it within just this past week, and I'm sure there will be a lot more in the future because of that special prosecutor that's just been assigned. But now we've seen claims that Flynn spoke to Donald Trump, asking him to actually end investigations into him. So we've seen these claims floating around for quite a while. But now it's coming out that Michael Flynn never did ask President Trump to interfere or block these federal probes. And this is according to the people close to this former national security advisor. Quote, Flynn never spoke to the president about trying to end or influence any ongoing government investigations of him. The New York Times reported late Tuesday that from a memo, James Comey alleged that Donald Trump tried to end the Flynn investigation. That's another one that the James Comey memos talked about. But we see that it's not really true. That Donald Trump, there's no proof of this, and that's why actually the Senate has now requested that James Comey goes in front of them and actually shows them these memos so that they can see it, and we're going to have to see how that turns out, but so far there's no evidence of this actually being true. We see that people close to Flynn definitely are saying that they could not speak about Trump's private conversations, but that they know for sure that Flynn never asked Donald Trump to do such a thing. Justice Department probe of Flynn's foreign contacts with Turkey began all the way back in November, as you guys know. Now, these probes definitely led to a whole bunch of different areas, in court, of course, also examining Russian contacts and stuff like that, and in the end, Flynn was fired. But there's no proof at all that he actually talked to Donald Trump and was like, and told him to stop these investigations. But this is another claim that comes out from the left. This is another claim that actually originated in the media. It originated from a news story, and it blew up into this giant argument from the left. They say that, Flynn even asked Donald Trump to end these investigations. That's what they're saying. But there's no proof of it, once again, folks. And I know I've said this a lot in this episode, and that's because it's just so true, and it comes out so much within these past few issues, these past few weeks. The left has no evidence for any of these claims. And that's why these investigations have just been going on and on and on. Because the left continues to make sure that they are going when there's no evidence turning up. There hasn't been one bit of evidence of this, and I guarantee they will not find any bits of evidence, because that just simply did not happen. They are trying to use this as an excuse to try and undermine Donald Trump's presidency, but folks, we all know that it won't actually turn out to be true. We all know that this is just another wild assertion from the left. And honestly, it's just sad that they're continuing and continuing and continuing to argue this. It's sad that they're continuing to blame Donald Trump and Russia for every single problem in this nation. And furthermore, it's just sad that all of them are so misinformed on all of these issues. We see Democrats constantly claiming, like it's a fact, that Donald Trump colluded with Russia. And not just Democrats in leadership or in the House or the Senate. We see Democrats across the entire nation claiming that. They act as if this is fact, and that's because of the liberal media, folks. We can see that the liberal media has reported this as if it's a fact, without showing any other side of the argument, without showing the truth, without actually showing that there is no evidence. Folks, there is no evidence of any of this, except the liberal media doesn't want you to know that. The liberal media wants the American people to be in dark about the truth. The liberal media wants the leftists to win when they don't deserve it. And I ultimately do believe that if they continue with these Russian claims, that the Democrats are just going to do poorly in midterms and in the future elections. Because these Russian claims are definitely hurting them. They're one of the reasons why they didn't win the election. Because they just throw out these claims with no evidence. They just blame things on other people. And they're continuing and continuing and continuing. We've seen that the Democrats have actually gone further and further left as time goes on. And that's not what the American people want from them. The American people want them to become more moderate, less socialist, less radical. But now we're seeing groups like Antifa pop up. We're seeing Black Lives Matter, these radical terrorist organizations that come out of the Democratic Party. And it's sad that they're prospering under Democrats. They're thriving under the people that are in the Democratic Party because they have become so radical. They claim that they are the ones fighting fascism under Donald Trump. They are fighting the evils of fascism. Yet they are using force to enforce their political ideology. And folks, I don't know about you, but that sounds like fascism to me. These people have constantly been hypocritical and constantly been violent in their ways, and it's not leading to a very good result. And it's going to hurt the Democrats because they have claimed countless number of different accusations throughout this entire Russia investigation. And they're the only reason why the Russia investigation is a thing in the first place, because they made another wild assertion that hasn't been proven. They continue to make these claims, and we all know that they are never going to come up with actual evidence. All right, that's all for today's episode of the Wise Conservative Show. I'm Connor Wise. You can find me on youthrevolt.org. Go ahead and search Youth Revolt up on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram at @the_wise_conservative, on Spreaker.com/thewiseconservative. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and as always, God bless.